It's really great to see how many of us are out tonight. I want to get everyone to applaud both Marie and Jordan for bringing us all together. Thank you so much for putting this up. When Jordan and Kelly asked me to come share some words of wisdom, the first thing that I did was Google wisdom, just to make sure I had some. Wisdom is at the intersection of knowledge, experience, and good judgment. So really, they've assigned me quite the challenge, but challenge accepted. When I joined Walmart in a leadership rotation program, I had the opportunity to go down to our Walmart Labs office in Silicon Valley and interview 30 companies in 30 days on what is innovation, how do large companies innovate, and how do we overcome barriers to innovation. And through the acquisition of this knowledge, one thing became very evident. Companies that were really successful and innovative were those that had that built into their culture. So what is an innovation culture? It's one that's open and honest, mission-driven, and most importantly, it's one that allows associates to constantly test and evolve. When I returned back to Canada, I noticed that there were these pockets of innovation, but we weren't really having a corporate or global conversation, and we weren't leveraging the innovation ecosystem that's literally in our backyard. And so a bunch of us cross-functionally came together, and then we started the Walmart Innovation Community. Our mission is to build and nourish a culture of innovation where all associates at any level can challenge the status quo, strive for excellence, and drive change within retail. And we do this in 3 different ways: exploration, empowerment, and execution. And I have a couple people with me from the community who can spend hours chatting about this, so you can come find us after. So far, we've grown to over 1,600 members in 7 different Walmart countries. We've brought in over 60 startups and industry speakers, Nudge being one of them. Thank you, Jordan. And we've run multiple experiments. Though we may make this journey sound easy, it definitely wasn't. It was challenging, we made a lot of mistakes, but we learned a lot along the way. When I reflect on the knowledge that we've gained as well as the experiences, there are a few resolutions that I would actually recommend to all innovators, whether you're at a large company or a small startup. The first one is experiment. So we heard this before. You stole my thunder a little bit, but great minds think alike, or fools seldom differ, but experimentation is really key. Typically in large corporations, the way that you go from idea generation to implementation is you start to build a business case. You develop your ROI models, you go through a bunch of different approvals, and at the end of it, you start executing and implementing across the business. There are some flaws with this process. The first being that business cases have a lot of assumptions built in, some of which are rarely tested or validated. And they're easy to manipulate. You can overstate or understate your numbers to hit your ROI targets. Experimentation, on the other hand, allows you not only to test and validate those assumptions, but more importantly, it allows you to build a solution and modify as you go along as soon as you're getting feedback from both your customers and your users. So like I said, experiment. If you're not experimenting, you're not evolving. And if you're not evolving, you're dying. Number 2, protect. As a leader of innovation, your role is to build that culture of innovation within your team. I'm sure all of us understand the importance of our leaders and how their decisions impact the culture on the team and the decisions of others. Like I said, building an innovation culture, one where you're constantly testing and evolving, requires leaders to protect you from the outside world, and that can be the company itself. Ensure that you have that safe space because you will make mistakes. You will fail, and it needs to be encouraged and learnings need to be celebrated. An example of this was when we were implementing and upgrading our voicemail system. I'm not sure why we have voicemail anymore, but that's beside the point. We had to do this to about 2,000 corporate associates, and so our project manager was thinking of the most efficient way to do this. And so he had two options. One is send each associate an email with their personalized password, or he could send a mass email with a generic password and save everyone a bunch of time. So he did that, and guess what happened? Security had a panic attack, and they rushed over, wanted to make sure that we acted on it right away. Obviously, we did put certain things at risk. The CEO's email or voicemail was accessible, but we definitely acted on it quickly. So now, from a leadership perspective, we had two options. We could either reprimand the already panicked and terrified associate, or we could celebrate the initiative that he took to find efficiencies in our system. And we did the latter. And in that moment, we fundamentally changed something on our team. We showcased not just to him, but to the entire team that it was okay and encouraged to try and find efficiencies and try to do things differently, but keeping security in mind, first and foremost. And so through this, what we've seen is millions of dollars in savings, as well as us changing processes globally. So now that I've kind of walked you through knowledge and what was the second piece to wisdom? Our experience, it brings me to good judgment. And so that's the third point, is reflect. It's the only way that you can consciously learn. So when you hear things, read things, and experience things, your brain is taking in all of these inputs and processing them. But you're not always aware of these patterns that it's recognizing or the frameworks that it's developing. So when you come to an output, you're not really sure how you got there or why you got there. And this is something that we refer to as our gut feeling. But if you're reflecting, then you're forcing yourself to be aware of these learnings. It's the only way that you can evolve. So in short, what's the first one? Experiments. Second, protect. Third, reflect. Throughout the night, you've heard words of wisdom from all of the speakers. It's your chance now to go and experience it for yourself and then reflect along the way. And then you too will become wiser.
Thank you. What was the password?
Nice try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Nice. So how have you, in your role, brought new innovations to the table, or do you think it's more valuable to look at past innovations?
So here's the thing. We, as part of the Walmart innovation community, have two roles. So everything that we do through the community is volunteer-based. So we all have our day-to-day jobs. Mine is implementing tech for Walmart in Canada. And the reason I'm telling you that is we fundamentally believe that to drive big change within a company, and we're doing it with the largest company in the world, you need to have everyone on board and everyone contributing. So we believe that it's everyone's job to at least incrementally innovate. And so we source ideas from not just ourselves and our networks, but also from our members' networks. So like I mentioned, we have 1,600 members. If they have ideas that they'd like to bring to the table, we will set up lunch and learn. So if there are startups here that might be interested, you can come find us, and that's one way to come share what you're working on. We have internal innovators share that as well. And lastly, we have a platform called Pitch It. So it's similar to Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, where associates can pitch their ideas. This year and last year, we've launched to over 90,000 associates across Canada, and they all have the ability and opportunity to participate in innovation. And we'll actually take them from idea submission. We'll provide them workshops to help get through from just a high-level problem and solution. We'll put them through a design thinking workshop. How do you build a good business case? Because that's still our process. So we want to make sure that once they get approval, they can go right away. And the third is, how do you tell a good story and influence leadership? And then at the end of that, and multiple rounds of feedback from leaders and people within the organizations, customers, users, they're ready to pitch on a big stage in front of all the associates.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Hello. Hi. Right here.
Hi.
So is this like a walk-on community? Is there an audition?
What do you mean?
Your innovation community. I was just joking because you said you have 1,600. You all have day jobs.
Right.
So my real question is, how do you do all this? Because one of the reasons why a community like this works is because you're able to get back to those people in terms of their ideas and why they were specifically progressed or perhaps deferred, etc. But you all have daytime jobs. How are you able to find the time to be able to do this kind of a thing and do it to this level of commitment to be able to create this culture? I'm just curious. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I said, it's not easy. It definitely poses its challenges because we are competing not with just people's jobs, but also their personal time. So there are 1,600 members, and by that I mean they have access to all of the tools, the opportunities, the learning sessions, but behind the scenes there's a core team of about 10 of us in Canada, and then we're now setting one up in Latin America and then different markets as well. But the key is to find the right people. So initially when we were on this journey, we were looking for people that were really passionate. So we thought, okay, passionate people can move mountains, so let's find the most passionate people that are passionate about innovation and bringing change. Then we realized that's not the winning formula. You need to find passionate people and capable people. Then you need to find passionate people, capable people, and committed people. And that's still not enough. Now we have to find a well-balanced and diverse team because diversity, even just in business function, business is cyclical. So if we have too many people in one area of the business, when things get busy, for example, we're going through year end, so finance is completely swamped because they're trying to close everything. If we had everyone from finance, we would have a huge dip in productivity. So I'm not sure if that's still the winning mix. We'll find out as we go along, but so far that's kind of how it's been functioning. Another thing that inspires people to come join our group and come on this journey with us is that they're allowed to follow their own personal passion. So we have people that are graphic designers kind of as a hobby or filmmakers as a hobby, and this is their outlet for them to follow that passion as well.
Cool, one last question? No? Okay, over here. My question actually relates to your second pillar, which is protect. I think it applies to pretty much leaders across different organizations and team sizes, etc. So in line with that, what would you say is like an important aspect as a leader to keep in mind for that protective mentality of your team? So you touched on a couple of things, which is like communication, empathy, understanding that they have a life beyond work, but like what is something you employ and would ask people to keep in mind as well?
Good question. Let me think about that. I would say you need to find a leader that is not going to expect you to do as well as maybe they will and follow exactly what they think. Someone that is humble, actually humility is really important, and I think that is something that differentiates Walmart's culture. The CEO and someone just newly joined the company have the same desk. There's no corner offices, we have a casual office, no badges that tell you who's senior and who's junior. And that forces you to keep an open mind and hear each person's opinion equally. And I think that's really important as a leader. And then once you focus on that, you will automatically start protecting your team and giving them the credit they deserve.